Chief Tom Hackney, Detective of the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. I want to take a second and recap what I covered this morning and what we have learned so far. I want to remind you this is still an ongoing investigation, and I expect it will take some time before a conclusion is reached. This morning at 2:15 a.m., Officer Jeff Edwards, who is a 3-year veteran with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, observed our suspect. He was driving a new model Taurus car. He was in the Burke Road and Blackard Road area of Arlington, an area that is JSO is known for a narcotics area and also has an increased patrol presence in that area due to the narcotics activity. When Edwards saw the suspect initially eluded him by making sudden turns in the area. Edwards caught up and initiated a traffic stop, causing the suspect to run several stop signs in an attempt to elude him. The suspect eventually stopped at Rogero Road and Arlington Expressway. As we've talked about before, there is no such thing as a routine traffic stop. Traffic stops, they're one of the most dangerous parts of police work, where you enter into the complete unknown when you approach a car. An officer's senses are heightened, and you should and are on alert for the unknown. As Edward approached the car, the suspect was acting nervous and not complying with the officer's instructions. The suspect was acting fidgety and moving about inside the cabin of the car. This caused Edwards concern, and he moved from the driver's side of the car to the passenger side of the car to try to get a better view of what the suspect was doing inside the car. As Edwards wasn't able to see from the passenger side as well, he moved back to the driver's side, continuing to give the driver instructions to comply, to show him his hands, and to obey his commands. At that point in time, the suspect made a sudden motion reaching down. This caused Officer Edwards to be in fear that he was in immediate danger of harm. Edwards discharged his issued handgun 7 times and struck the suspect 6 times. The suspect died at the scene. Subsequently, in this investigation, we have learned there was no firearm in the suspect's car. We've also learned that in the suspect's socks was 17.1 grams of powder cocaine and a ½ gram of crack cocaine in the suspect's other sock. The suspect has been identified as 37-year-old Davinian Williams from the 3500 block of Phyllis Street. Williams has a criminal history dating back to 1992 with arrests for battery on a law enforcement officer, resisting arrest, possession and sale of cocaine and marijuana, as well as misdemeanor traffic charges. Officer Edwards has been placed on administrative leave, as is the case with all officer-involved shootings. Again, this is an ongoing investigation by JSO, as well as the State Attorney's Office. Both of these conducting parallel criminal investigations. After these are completed, and only then will the JSO conduct an administrative investigation into this use of deadly force. I was told this morning that one of the news outlets aired comments from an anonymous witness to this incident. I'd like to remind the community that anyone who may have witnessed this would like them to come forward, make contact with the authorities, and provide information that they may have witnessed this morning. I can answer a few questions regarding this case.
What was the initial traffic stop? Why was there the initial traffic stop?
The initial traffic stop was based on his location in, what I've identified as his narcotics area, his presence there, and his driving patterns after that.
So it was on his driving patterns specifically?
Specifically on his driving patterns, caused the officer concerned where he was located in this area that is known for narcotics activity. That raised the officer's suspicion. The driving activity after that caused the traffic stop.
Can you tell us again how much cocaine was in his socks?
In his left sock, he had 17.1 grams of powder cocaine and a ½ gram of crack cocaine in his right sock.
The officer ever called backup?
During the initial traffic stop, the officer did request backup. Backup was en route and arrived shortly after the shooting.
Any idea how long this whole thing took to transpire?
Less than 3 minutes.
The officer moved from the driver's side to the passenger side inside his car. You said the officer moved.
The officer, once he made the traffic stop, he exited his car.
Yes.
Walked up to the driver's side of the suspect's car.
Okay.
As the suspect was acting fidgety and acting nervous,
Okay.
not being able to see what he was reaching for, what he was doing inside the cabin of the car. Officer Edwards then moved around the back side of the suspect's car to look through the passenger window to kind of see what he was doing. When he got there, he realized he couldn't so much see inside the car from that vantage point. He then moved back to the driver's side of the car, which the driver's side of the car was where the shooting transpired.
Were the windows up in the car?
The driver's window was down. The rest of the windows were up.
Those windows were up. Okay.
Were the shots fired through the windshield or through that passenger side
To
window?
the rear passenger window.
So he was standing, well, passenger side of the driver's side, but to the back, but not right back, trying to look in to see what he was doing, moved around the other side, holding back, trying to see what was going on, then moved back, and then saw him move, and then fired.
Like I said, you know, these traffic stops that officers with JSO and officers throughout the country engage in hundreds of times a day are the unknown. When you approach one of these cars, you don't know what you're approaching as you go up there. You know, these traffic stops just are filled with inherent dangers. Throughout the years, numerous officers have been killed. It causes officers' senses to be heightened. Again, he was not able to see what the subject was doing, and the subject complied with his actions, complied with his orders, stopped fidgeting when he was told to stop fidgeting. The officer would have been able to complete the traffic stop, and like we do hundreds of times a day.
Did he have any sort of weapon on him at all?
There was no weapon found either on his person or inside the car.
Just playing devil's advocate here, when people hear JSO shot an unarmed man, it obviously gets a lot of people angry. What do you say to those people?
Like I said, I alluded back to the fact that these traffic stops are dangerous, that they involve the unknown, and I would not want to speculate or play devil's advocate towards anything.
Are officers generally instructed that if they see somebody reaching for something, they have the opportunity to shoot them and defend themselves?
Again, I want to go back to just the facts on this case. What we know so far, this is an ongoing investigation as to the facts that transpired this morning with this traffic stop. The officer's ability and right to use deadly force in this case is part of not only the criminal investigation that we're now conducting, but will be part of the administrative investigation that's conducted afterwards.
Any other
So
questions?
you suspect it may take some time for this to be resolved? Is that because is it a complicated case, or is there some reason that it's going to take some time?
This in all cases tend to you want to take as much time as necessary with the facts surrounding this case. They're all investigated thoroughly. This one will certainly get the extra scrutiny that it deserves.
Is the amount of times he shot unusual?
We've had cases that involve one shots and several shots. It's not relative to the number of times.
One more question.
Officer Edwards, was he just routine patrol? Was he an OSS guy? Was he on a task force? What?
Officer Edwards was just on regular patrol. Again, routine. I hate to use the word routine. There's nothing that we do in this business that's routine. The area that he was in looking was the narcotics area that we're aware of. That's why the officers are in the area. That's why they're taking extra steps. That's why Mr. Williams was identified in the area.
Okay. Thank you.
Very much.